Today's video is sponsored by Forever Pick, exotic wood guitar picks. Handmade one at a time in Chicago, Illinois, you can choose from a selection of exotic woods that will actually improve your guitar's tone. Take advantage of an exclusive 25% off coupon when you buy the full 6-pack at the link in the description. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it.
I'm Bill Hicks, and I'm dead now, because I smoke cigarettes.
Hello everybody, Brad the Guitologist here. In another story that we've followed for some time, I reported back whenever they first started building this monstrosity down in Hollywood, Florida. This Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino costs $1.5 billion, and it has a giant hotel shaped like a guitar. And they finally have completed the thing, and it's set to open. I guess it opened today, which was the 24th of October. Yeah, so apparently the thing is open. You can go and you can book hotel rooms now, and you can go sit inside of a Hell on Earth, which is a casino.
Please, tell me about the hooking golf shoes.
All the casinos I've ever been in allow smoking, and I quit smoking over 12 years ago now. And anytime I've gone into a casino since, just the smell of smoke hits me in the face so hard I can't stay in one for very long.
It's a shame it's that secondary smoke that stinks so bad, because the stuff we're sucking up is fucking great, man.
But even non-smoking ones, just the beeps and the lights and the... it's just not my scene, to be honest with you. I mean, every now and then I can go and play a few rounds of blackjack or something and be happy, but I just don't get the appeal of sitting there with a one-armed bandit and just pulling the damn thing while you flush the kids' college money down the drain. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. I mean, surely there are better things you could do with yourself and your time and your money than going to a casino. Now, I know casinos, you know, for local economies, they make a lot of local people, you know, good jobs. They also offer a good venue for a lot of bands to go play, a lot of solo artists to go play. So that's a positive. And none of that would exist without people who do that, you know, who sit there and pull the one-armed bandit. So I get it. I can see both sides of it. So don't send me letters. Don't send me hate mail. But at the same time, you know, I just have to wonder, how much positivity do these places really put into the world? I thought this was kind of interesting as well. We talked about Eddie Van Halen last week. We talked about his pick in the mouth, and whether or not had a long discussion about whether or not that caused his cancer. Well, it was very interesting to read all the comments and to get into all of the debates down in the comments. Really good comment section last week, I have to say. It was fun. I obviously did not explain myself very articulately last week with regard to the Eddie Van Halen situation. Some of you guys were like, oh, you just basically kicked science in the nuts. You just eschewed science completely, and I'm out of here. You know, I'm unsubscribing because you've taken the side of feelings and emotions over science.
You went full retard, man.
It's like, no, that's not what I'm doing at all. Because what I had said last week was, Eddie Van Halen thinks that putting a metal pick on one side of his mouth caused the cancer that eventually developed on that side of his mouth. The other side of his mouth, he would stick a cigarette up in his guitar headstock, and he would smoke cigarette like this. His pick would go here when he would tap, and he got cancer on this side of his mouth. And all I was saying was, if you're a doctor, like the guy in that article, you shouldn't be so cavalier about dismissing Eddie's own idea about what possibly gave him the cancer, because he knows his body better than you do. I wasn't discounting cigarette smoke causing cancer at all. You guys just basically read that into what I was saying, and I never said that. So, you know, I don't know who's thinking emotionally here, me or some of you guys, but holy shit, that was just like, what? But I never said that. Never said that it couldn't possibly be the tobacco. What I did say was I would be sooner to listen to Eddie on the situation, because he had a hypothesis that he put out there that made some sense. He said, look, I got the cancer on the same side as the pick. That was his hypothesis, that they were correlated, okay? The other guy basically just dismissed it out of hand without any tests whatsoever, which is the opposite of science. And that's all I was saying, was you listen to this expert expert who's just standing on the shoulders of the people who've come before him, and he's basically parroting the status quo or the common knowledge of the day that it's probably the tobacco, which it may very well be the tobacco. I didn't say it wasn't, but it could be also the tobacco in conjunction with the catalyst of the pick somehow. Okay? So that's all I was saying, was that we should listen to people when they say things about their own illnesses and not just always go to the expert and take his word for it. So now that that's out of the way, I hope that you can better see and understand what I was trying to say. I wasn't eschewing science. On the contrary, I was saying somebody who purports to be an expert in a field should not be so cavalier about dismissing someone's hypothesis without a single fucking test, okay? That's the opposite of science, period. So anyway, on to this news story about Eddie Van Halen I thought was interesting. He went to a Tool concert with his son Wolfgang, and this dude came up to him and he's like, "Hey man, will you take my picture?" Not will you, can I take my picture with you, the famous Eddie Van Halen? But can you take my picture of me just alone with the stage in the background? Check this out. I mean, this dude just hands him his camera and Eddie's just like, okay. He just like takes a picture. And Wolfgang's like, he's like, "Yeah, this was my favorite part of the Tool show last night. My dad being asked to take this dude's picture of him in an empty stage." I just got a kick out of that. That's really funny. And then there's also some pictures you could see from that night where Eddie, I guess he hung out with and met Adam Jones from Tool. Interesting that that Eddie would be a Tool fan. You know, I mean, honestly, they have really different approaches to guitar playing. It could be that Wolfgang is the Tool fan and he just dragged Eddie along. Who knows? But interesting. Yeah, I got a chuckle out of that. Also wanted to cover this story really quickly. I thought this was kind of interesting. I'd missed it a couple weeks back. Actually, it's been in my to-do list for stories to cover for a couple weeks now. But Tom Petty's stolen guns, unreleased music recovered by police after burglary, and the guitars are still missing. That's interesting that someone would burglarize his estate and steal a lot of unreleased music. I mean, that's pretty big. That's probably the biggest thing there. And then you've got a bunch of guitars and guns too, but can you imagine that? But at least they did recover the unreleased music stuff. It doesn't really say a whole lot about how they recovered them, but it says police have reportedly apprehended the culprit that stole some priceless items from late musician Tom Petty that were being held in storage. So apparently he had some stuff in storage that was stolen in a storage locker in San Fernando Valley, California. He had guitars, guns, and hard drives with unreleased songs recorded before his death in there. The items that were stolen were worth at least $100,000. Police said the thief confessed to the crime and was subsequently arrested for burglary. So it's good that they got him, but there's still some guitars at large apparently. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see where that one goes. And speaking of hard drives, I thought this was interesting here in an interview with Vinnie Moore. The interviewer asks him, what would be the first guitar you would grab in a fire? And he says, wow, honestly, the first thing that I would grab would be my computer or hard drive and not one of my guitars. Because he has a lot of song ideas, and if he lost those, he couldn't replace them. The guitar can be easily replaced, as I don't have any vintage instruments. The only vintage thing I have is a 66 Super Reverb. I could try to grab that, but it might break my back. Yeah, I agree. Probably best to leave that and grab your kids or something else instead. But yeah, I had to have to agree with him. You know, I mean, if you've got a lot of songs, if you got a lot of demo tracks and stuff, you know, on tape or something like that, I mean, that makes a lot more sense to grab some of that stuff than perhaps it would, you know, to grab an instrument. What do you guys think about that? I'd be interested to hear what would be the first thing that you would grab in the event of a fire. What's the first piece of gear, like guitar-wise or amp-wise, that you would grab? Would you grab your hard drive over your instruments? I would be interested to hear about that from you guys. All right, so that'll do it for the news. So let's go open some viewer mail. Okay, so first let's get into some viewer mail packages, and I'll just kind of go down the list here. This first one is from Nate Dumont, and I think I know what this one is already. Nate reached out to me the other day and said he wanted to send me something, and let's see if it is what I believe it to be here. Nate is the current owner of the Guyatone brand, and Guyatone, if you guys didn't know, is a brand from the 1960s, and yep, that's exactly what he sent me. He has nailed me down, dudes. Look at this. He has sent me a Guyatone strap, and he said, interestingly, that the jacquard weave that is used on these straps that he has, he's done a run of these because they got into a mess of vintage jacquard. So this is actual vintage jacquard weave from, I can't remember if he said the 1960s or the 1970s, but it definitely looks to me like it's at least from the 70s. And yeah, very, very cool. Nice buckle there on that. He's got a leather backing on this, so this is actually better than a vintage one would be. Very neat, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, you guys definitely check out Guyatone. That little number right there, whatever that is, that's probably the model number for this particular one. But you can see the leather backing. That's a nice strap, I have to say. And they've done the ends pretty well too. It's not just stitched. He's actually stitched and riveted those. So that's that's nice. It's a little closer in quality to the ones I'm used to coming from my sponsor. Definitely cool the fact that it's actual vintage jacquard. I don't know how much of this stuff he said he got, but he was able to make up a run of these. So this could be one of those situations too where it's a limited edition thing, and if you guys want one that's new quality but made from vintage jacquard like this, it might be worth checking out. But thank you, Nate. I appreciate that very much, man. All right, I've got one more box opening for you guys, and it's just over here off camera. Let's check it out. Okay, now this one looks like it might be a guitar, but I don't think it is. I think I might know what this is. This is from Dale Ingram in Taylor, Michigan. All right, looks like we have a note. It says, good day to you, Brad. This is the Harley Benton electric mandolin. I find if I run it through a fuzz and delay, then into my Princeton, I can get all the neighborhood dogs to bark in harmony. Enjoy. P.S. The wife says to let your little girls play it or else. I certainly will. Yeah, because Dale was talking about, he had seen one of my videos where at the end of it, I think I was stomping around in the living room with my little, with my then 2-year-old daughter, and I was playing mandolin, and it was just one of those, my stepdad had left his mandolin over here for a minute, and it was just, I was screwing around on it, and he thought, man, you know what, I'm going to send you this thing. So that is just super awesome. And I've never had an electric this is the first electric mandolin I will have ever owned. So that's really cool. And a Harley Benton. Wow. Harley Benton electric mandolin. I guess everybody else on YouTube is reviewing Harley Bentons, so I guess why not me too, right? Oh wow, that's cool. Check that little sucker out. Wow. Awesome. Is this brand new? This is brand new. It's still got the hang tags and everything. Oh, you said you ordered 2 of them, right? Yeah, because you said you ordered 2 of the things. Or they sent you 2 on accident? Was that what it was? They sent you a second one on accident. Something like that, you said. Or maybe you were trying to throw me off the scent and make me think you weren't, giving me that much or something. That sounds a bit fishy to me that they gave you 2 by accident. But that is so cool, man. You know what? You didn't have to do that, and that is amazing. That's super cool. Like I said, I've never owned an electric mandolin before. But this thing looks nice. My goodness. I mean, I could certainly tell by the finish that it's, it's a Chinese-made instrument just because it's more of a poly finish than it is a, nitrocellulose or something like that you would typically get in a higher-end, sort of American instrument. But still, Still, man, that's cool. And what else was in here? You said a pick? Okay. Now, you said to look up the name. I'll do that here in a little bit. Sean Barker. Who's Sean Barker? Back Pocket Bluegrass Songbook. Cool. Has this got just a lot of bluegrass? Oh, yeah, right on. Wildwood Flower, Banks of the Ohio. Rolling in My Sweet Baby's Arms. Yep, I know most of these. That's cool, man. Thank you. Thank you for that. And then a box top, you said, with Bill Monroe's signature. You are joking me. Look at that. Right on. How about that? This Columbia Country Classics. I used to have the Johnny Cash version of this, like it was a box set of Johnny Cash, the Columbia years. Look, I've still got the Johnny Cash one. That's the booklet from the box set. That is, man, that is something right there. That's really cool. Thank you. All right, now I gotta know who's Sean Barker. Oh, okay, he's a Johnny Cash tribute artist. I see. Well, Dale, I sincerely appreciate that, man. And tell your wife I will certainly allow my daughters to play on this, and I'll let them beat around on it as much as they want to. Yeah, so the action isn't really the best on it, but it can be set up, and it needs a setup for sure. I need to do some nut slotting and set up the bridge, and maybe even the neck angle could be kicked back slightly. I wonder if it needs a... Yeah, it could be a truss rod adjustment too. Would go a long way toward helping that. If it has... Yeah, it has a truss rod, so that's cool. But yeah, we might do that in a separate video, but yeah, very cool.